Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. At least I believe it is Monday. I hope you had a very good weekend and that your week is off to an awesome start. I wanted to come together today and have a talkie. Sit down, explore some thoughts together, because the biggest question that I get is, am I too old to learn how to sing? And conversely, am I too old to be a great singer? So we're gonna take the time today. Hi, everybody. We're gonna take some time today and talk about what kind of obstacles, what obstacles are very unique to adult learners. And we're gonna turn those obstacles into advantages because they definitely are. But it kind of takes a little bit of reframing. So just going to give everybody just a minute to kind of settle in. I'm so glad you're all here. Hi, Colleen. Glad to see you again. Just really glad that you're all here. I love you guys, and I know that this is such a process, not only singing, but all the little traps that learning how to sing can trigger. All those wounds, all those fears that learning to sing can really be a trigger for. So just wanted to create some space. If you find today's lesson useful, I really encourage to grab a pen, pencil, piece of paper, just jot down some things that you want to keep fresh in your mind, because who knows when we say something useful and that has utility to it. So you ready? Here, we're just going to jump right in. If you like today's lesson, please be sure to give it a thumbs up or click that subscribe button below. Be sure to hit the bell. I'm gonna try to do these lives twice a week, every week. We're not gonna have one next week due to the Christmas holiday, but I really want to encourage everyone to come if you can. If you can't, these videos will be posted. They'll be posted on YouTube. So like I said, every Monday and Thursday, we're going to leave a little link below if you need some help figuring out what time zone that is for you, and check that out. So, okay, big question. This question is huge. And I'm also going to, I love you too. I'm also going to really open this up to be a sense of dialogue. So if you have some things that you want to say, we're going to kind of open up to questions as we move along. Sorry, my gigantic Starbucks cups is there. We're going to kind of open this up to questions as we move along because I really want to encourage a sense of dialogue here. So because me and my husband really love alliteration, we put together like the 4 P's of adult learning. So I'll go ahead and give them to you now. Punctuality, patience, persistence, and praise. So we're going to break each one of these down. Being an adult, just anything, is really challenging. Just keeping ourselves alive is some serious work, like feeding ourselves and getting the adequate sleep and keeping hydrated. So by that I mean it's incredibly overwhelming. Everything is overwhelming. So I want to start with punctuality because I just want to clarify what is necessary to be great or to just learn. What's necessary for the learning process. And I call it punctuality, and it's basically like making a promise. So you could look at it like that. But it's very hard to be an adult, especially if you have family or if you have people that you look out for. Your attention is always pulled away from yourself. And we're so overwhelmed with life that we get trained by that. Like someone needs our attention, maybe they need our help with something, and we get pulled away from our own goals and our own desires. Or maybe we need to make food for our family, so we get pulled away from our practice time. So I just want to start by saying, like, the I don't have time is the oldest excuse in the book because it's true. It is absolutely true. None of us have time. It's really difficult to just manage our time. But I just want to encourage you that you don't have to sit down for like 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours and just go all in for your singing practice. If anything, I just want you to encourage 10, 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes. And ironically, my favorite place to practice is the shower because, I take a long time to get ready. So that's at least 30 minutes and I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying the shower. I'm feeling invigorated, ready to start my day. And I'm just making noises. But you do not need 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours of practice. Matter of fact, your brain will learn these concepts quicker if you break it down into 15-minute increments. So, but you have to be very clear about what you're going to work on in those 15 minutes. You could say, well, I'm just going to sit and work on breath. And I'm going to be very intentional and deliberate about my breath. I'm going to be very aware about how I'm managing my energy in that 10, 15 minutes. If you do that, there's a quality that underscores your practice that goes right into the neuroplasticity of your brain. Your brain kind of sucks it up like a sponge. It's fantastic. And in that in-between practice, it gets incubated, and then it starts to show up at your next practice. So I once had a teacher, and I feel very grateful that I've had some really amazing teachers. And ironically, some of my most amazing teachers were major villains. Taught me a lot about tough love. But I had one teacher that would say, love takes time. Love takes time. So if you love singing, sit down and just build that relationship with it. Again, 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, 10, 15 minutes. That's all. And it's about creating new habits. Same teacher that said love takes time would say success is all about making a series of promises to yourself and keeping them no matter what. No matter what. Now, I needed to practice this a little bit because I have no concept of how long things take. And sometimes I'll make a really long list, but it's crazy. It's so unrealistic, my list. It's like, write song. It's like one checkbox. Like, write new song. Build new, learning module. It's like, wow, each step takes like 100 steps. And it's like one little check off on my list. And I would get frustrated because, again, I'm learning that things take time, especially things that have a lot of process to them. They take a little bit of time. So I did learn, and I really do value that when you sit and you allow your mind to just clear 10, 15 minutes and you say, I'm going to do this one simple thing, whatever it is. Oh, gosh. Practice becomes something that brings life rather than takes it. But you have to make that promise and stick to it no matter what. So if the best you can do is 10, 15 minutes, meanwhile, it's really awesome, 10, 15 minutes, then give yourself that 10, 15 minutes every day. So anyways. Okay, so the next one is patience. Now, this is really difficult because specifically adults have extremely refined ears. They have a lot of preference. They can hear a recording and just hear all the layers of the nuance and the artistic interpretation, the variation. And believe it or not, almost every single artist that we hear on the radio has been developing their voice for years. And that gets very frustrating for adult learners because they already come into the practice feeling like in some way, I'm so behind this. So again, singing so wonderful. It can kind of let you know where you are, which can be very frustrating, but it also can be very exciting because it lets you know where to start. If you know where to start, you can move forward. It's only forward from there. But you have to develop the patience to say, here I am, I'm here, and I want to go here. And every day you kind of close that gap. But specific to adult learners, that frustration is real because they're so smart. Adults are so smart they can understand, like let's say resonance, for example. If we're talking about how the breath moves through the body and how the air is shared between the nose and the mouth and the chest, oh, we can really understand that and go, yeah, that makes sense. And when they come into practice, there's that conscious understanding of how it works. But the process of being able to embody that understanding or to demonstrate that understanding takes patience. It takes patience. And I've got to tell you, my particular singing journey is, oh my goodness, it's like a labor of love. And I think patience has been the virtue that has what my life has been about. Just if all you can do, this is my quote that I tell myself, if all you can do is crawl, then crawl. It's something, and it's in the direction you want to go. And it really allows me to understand that I want to be as invested in this process as possible. And I also get very frustrated sometimes, especially if I thought that I learned something and then some time goes by and I didn't practice it very well. And then I go back and I see that, oh, it hasn't stuck as much as I would have liked it to. Then I have to kind of give myself a little bit of a pep talk and be very nurturing about myself. But I can narrow down my focus again, and I can work on it. But I really want to encourage the adult learners, especially if you feel like you're drawn to singing, you're drawn to music, you want to see what am I made of? What can I do? How can I embody my voice? How can I be a more whole human being? It's about having that patience and taking that time. Is everybody doing okay so far? Awesome, Scott. I'm 52 and started singing voice lessons the last 2 years. I love it. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Yeah. You're never... I'm so passionate about this particular topic because most of my students are adults. And I love the human element of singing so much because I see the person. I'm a person. I see the person in myself and I see the person in them, and it's like, oh, you can do anything. You can do anything. And I'm humbled every single day by the students that I have. And some are coming into voice later in their life, later in their 70s, and they're coming with so much joy and so much attention, and they're getting so good, so good. So I just find that being a human is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I just enjoy when people bring their hearts and their souls into their practice. But I understand also how frustrating it can be. So far we've got punctuality. Make a promise to yourself and keep it no matter what. It can be a small promise, but keep it no matter what. Yay! I'm 75 voice lessons for 6 years, found my voice this year. That is so amazing. That is so amazing. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. So, second one is patience. Now, the third one is persistence. And to kind of joke a little bit, when I was in school, we had this little conversation. We had like a marketing something or another that was to help us kind of figure out what our niche was. And we played a little game that if Rolling Stone ever reviewed like your CD, what would the review say? How would they describe you? And I said, Madeline Harvey, she just won't go away. Because yes, I learned the value of persistence. That's what it takes. And partly because I came from other modes of learning, like ballet and gymnastics, those things take years, many years, and lots of pain, physical pain to develop. So I already had an understanding that same attitude was to be applied with voice. I have to be persistent, and I have to start extremely small, break things down. You've got to break things down because adult learners are so smart, understand the concepts and have a more refined ear for what they want. They've got that preference. Because that's the case, you can't just step in and embody it immediately. Well, maybe you can. But sometimes for many of us, we can't just step in and embody that completely immediately. So we've got to break things down. So when you come into your practice, have a goal and make it super, super, super small, super small. So I was practicing the other day, and it was just a weird something that was happening on a B flat note for me. So I took 10 minutes and I just repeated that B flat over and over and over and over until it became my best friend. Best friend. So instead of having a reaction to it and going, like rejecting it, I was like, okay, there I am. There's that relationship to that pitch. Let me be like water and just drip, 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 just wear it down. As long as I'm feeling comfortable as I'm doing it, as long as I'm managing my focus, you can do that. But come into your practice with a very, very specific goal. If you're wondering, okay, what could that be as I'm moving into my singing practice, I like to start with a lot of things that people forget to do that are so quintessential to practice. So one is rhythmic accuracy. That's actually my favorite. I find rhythm to be a little more important than pitch, which would be its counterpart. But rhythm and pitch, that's what makes up melody. So since pitch can sometimes give me literal nightmares, I will start with rhythm. And I'll just play with that rhythm. And sometimes I'm clapping in my practice, and I'm not even singing. I'm just working at the level of speech, taking the pitch just out and really refining that rhythm. So maybe the next practice, I will say, okay, pitch, you get this practice. And I will go extremely slowly through that melody line of a song, just going from one pitch to the next without words. I like to do that because it's always kind of a little burst of a bubble, because I realize I might not know the song as well as I think I do. So always having a sense of humbleness and ability to kind of laugh at yourself with a sense of adventure, but being able to actually consciously look, where am I at? What needs to be worked on? And then working on pitch, 15, 20 minutes, stop, have myself a nice little celebration, and then maybe next day put rhythm and pitch together. So do you see how small but manageable that is? Rhythm one day, pitch the next day, then the day after that, see if I can do both at the same time. That way singing's not so overwhelming, and it's fun. It's fun. So one thing I do want to say about adult learners with persistence is they're really good at it. Really good at it. I would say persistence and preference are the heads up that adults have over children. Like a lot more, because that's just what life has taught you. It's taught you to be persistent. It's taught you to be a little stubborn, a little resilient, have that fortitude, and it's also taught you preference, because you kind of tried some things and you've refined that ear and you know what you like. Part of the reason you know what you like is because you did what you don't like, right? So those two things are major virtues. But don't have the expectation that's too overwhelming for yourself, that the practice just becomes so frustrating that you don't want to do it. Keep it really small. Manage that detail. Everybody doing okay? I know I'm just going. It's just like, I love the adult learners because it's almost like we get to be children again. We get to come back to the wonder and the magic and the curiosity and the excitement of kind of seeing who we are through music. So far, we've got punctuality. Make that promise, keep that promise no matter what. Second one is patience. Third, Persistence. You got it. You've probably got a lot of it in your life. So the last one is actually where adults struggle the most, and that's praise. Praise, 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 praise. Praise yourself every step of the way. Here's where adults struggle with praise. So let's say, as a voice teacher, I can hyper focus on a specific goal with a student. I can hold that space so they can do it. And I will say, this is the only thing we're thinking about. Let's say we're back to rhythm. It's the only thing we're thinking about. We're giving it all of our attention. And if they complete the task well, there's lots of praise. Lots of praise. You did this well, you did that well. But it's very difficult for adults to hear that for a variety of reasons. But the big one is, yeah, they might have done that one thing really well, but they can already see that there's this one that they didn't do really well. And that's just not fair. That's not fair. That's no way to set yourself up for success. Focus on one thing. Do that one thing really, really, as well as you can, because sometimes we just have bad practices. And I will always finish a practice with a student and also myself by saying, what did I learn and what did I do really well today? And sometimes my practices, they just don't go so well. But what did I love? What did I do really well? Is I showed up. I did it. That's a big success. Have you guys heard about, I'm going to throw sciencey words at you, but it's like that hit of dopamine in the brain. We get that when we strive towards a goal. We get that dopaminergic surge is what it's called. So the bigger the goal, the more dopamine. Bam, 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 bam. That's why singing and learning to sing, especially if you feel called, if it like makes your spirit just come alive, feels better than, let's say, completing a task like doing the laundry. Part of the reasons, like, the laundry is necessary. It needs to get done. Laundry always needs to get done. But that's like, it's not really a goal. I'm not working towards the betterment of myself, unless you're working on discipline. That's different. But if I'm working on a song that I always wanted to sing, and I find myself managing, let's say, one piece of it, and I did it really well, it's like I just start crying. I just start crying because it's like I finally get to be who I've always wanted to be. I finally get to be who I knew I could be. And I feel high. So the whole day I'm walking around just like I can do anything. And it feels amazing. And it makes me want to come back to practice and do it again. But you can only get that through a sense of interior praise. Acknowledge that you did it. The goal can sometimes be so big that we just go, okay, here I am, and I want to sing this song. And so you sing the song, make all sorts of mistakes. It is the kind of disappointing that can just shatter someone spiritually, and they never want to sing again. No, I never, ever, ever want that to happen with you. And I understand frustration. Frustration is one thing. I'm talking about bitterness. Like, I should have listened to my mother. I should have listened. I should have known. I should have known things don't work out for me. And so then you're just going to spiral. So pick that one thing. Focus on that one thing. When you do it really well, just give yourself so much praise. You did it. You know what you're made of. You did that. You did that thing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, kids, this is where kids are like easy. It's like, yay, you did the thing. And that one little thing, it's like, they believe. They know that they did it. So they believe, and it makes them want to keep working, makes them want to keep practicing. But with adults, there's such a hard, it's so hard to accept. Yeah, I did do it. It's almost like they're afraid of joy, afraid to acknowledge that they achieved. They achieved. So narrow it down. Narrow down. Be so small about your goals, and then achieve it. And then set a new goal. Achieve that. Set a new goal. Achieve that. There's like a momentum that happens with that. And then you take on bigger goals, bigger things, bigger songs. I'm a little ranty. I'm so sorry. I've given this some serious thought over the weekend. I get this question a lot, and it's very close to my heart. Again, because most of my students are adults, and some come from very high profile, very successful jobs, and almost all of them say, man, if I could just go back. And I would do it differently. I wouldn't choose to be a lawyer. I wouldn't choose to be a doctor, because maybe I didn't want to be those things anyways. Those were just projections of what my mother wanted for me, or my father, or I don't know. But exploring your voice, I think, is one of the most courageous things a person can do. It's absolutely terrifying, because you know that when you sing, especially if you're brave enough to sing a cappella, meaning there's no music, there's just your voice, and you can hear everything. That takes an insane amount of courage, because you're choosing to look at where you are and to evaluate. And that is going to bump you up against all the things, all the fears of not being good enough, or you're just not talented, or blah, blah, blah. There's a lot, but it all comes down to, so focus. I'm so hard-headed. It's like I can break something down. If all I can do is crawl, then crawl. Good. All I have to do is crawl better than I did today, better than I did yesterday. That's all. That's it. And that's all that it comes down to. So what do we got? Punctuality, patience, persistence, and praise. Makes it nice and easy to remember. Punctuality, patience. Be patient with yourself. You've only got one you, and you are the gift to the world. Persistence and praise. Cool. So I have talked so much. I'm going to open it up to have a little bit of a dialogue with you guys. I'm so glad you're here. Seriously, I can't thank you enough. It's Veronica, my mom is definitely bitter about not singing as well as she did before. I don't know how to give her some encouragement. It's really hard to watch. Okay, well, oh man. Parents are strange. Parents are very, very interesting. And I wish that parents could be the kinds of leaders that we need them to be, especially as their children. My mother would constantly tell me to just shut up. Or she would put her ears here and go, Sometimes she would say, what's wrong with your voice? Like I would be singing my heart out and she would go, what's wrong with your voice? But very quickly I learned, you don't get to bully me. No. I pushed against that, and that was part of my own interior persistence. But it can be really, really difficult because the voices of our parents, they become like our interior dialogue. I find that if you make a promise to yourself to show up, and there is that awareness when you sit down and go, okay, here, I'm just here to be together. And you pick something small to work on, and you are very kind to yourself as you're working on it, and you've got that persistence, and then you praise yourself when you do it. There's this interior support that just kind of bubbles up. I think that happens at the level of the psyche. I think psychology just, man, it fascinates me, just on the same level that voice fascinates me. But we get this interior supportive structure that begins to emerge. That's the word. It kind of bubbles up from deep inside. And if you can sit there and nurture yourself as you're working through something, sometimes you have to negotiate. Like sometimes the voice in our mind is so critical, and that to me is like the voice of my mother. I have to, literally negotiate with it. What would you like to see different? How can I do this better? And then I, just by dialoguing with it, like, what would you like to see different? If that line sucked, and that's what's going on in my mind, okay, just going to full on engage. What would you like to see different? And sometimes that voice is like, crawl under a rock and hide. Why don't you suck so bad you should never even, it's stupid. It's just really, really stupid. Then it's like, oh, okay, well then you don't get to do that. Go sit down. Like, I'm not going to ask for your input again. But it's like being aware that we have that internal dialogue that's introjecting. There's that introject of just an issue. And sometimes we're not even aware that introjection is happening. We just feel it. It's like it happens as a physical response, like sudden shame, sudden embarrassment, sudden disappointment, anger, frustration. It's like we have that as a reaction, that if we just dialogue a little bit with that, we can literally ask it to literally, like, no, I don't know. Right now, for the next 15 minutes, I'm not listening to you. Go sit down. Go sit down. And this interior, for me, it's like an interior mother, one that's like nurturing, but also tough. Okay, so that sucked. Do it again. And that would honestly be the kind of mother that I would probably be. All right, yeah, so it sucked. So try it again. See, it's better now. So, but I think you'll end up manifesting the interior support system that you need. I love this meme. And it was like something like, be the kind of person you needed as a child. It's kind of like that. I'm ranty. I'm so sorry. Let's see here. I'm just going to, let me see if I can go through. And I'm looking for, okay, let me see. I'm just going to scroll through. Sorry, guys. Looking specifically for question marks or just wanting to be a part of the conversation. Let's see. Alexandra, can you give advice about what to do if once I stop singing and now I'm simply afraid to start anew? Oh, that's okay. Every day we're new. Every day it's something new. And you're different. Every single day. I think managing expectations is really, really great. And I don't mean that by like your expectation should just be nothing. But if you've stepped away for a while and you're coming back into it and there's a little bit of fear, like you're just not going to be what you were, I would try to go easy. Okay. When you sing, allow your voice to show you who it is. That's a lot, because I really did notice with myself that I was really trying to push a voice onto myself that was not me. I didn't know any different. I did not know any different. My classical teachers were like, you must sound this way in order to be kind of appropriate to the style. So a lot of things manifest for me in anger. They really do. I will literally like growl at things or like, yeah, there's a lot of anger that manifests itself. But the reason why that anger manifests with me is because I can hear this, that my voice is like, you are not listening to me. You're not listening to me. So that caught my attention in a practice room when I was in college once. I literally heard my mind go, you're not listening to me. So I was like, okay, you have my attention. And it was more like, this is who I am, rather than this other expectation of trying to meet all the criteria for the school of what the school thought was good. It's like, no, I just wasn't going to fit that box. But my voice was going, this is who I am. And it wasn't like it was drastically different, but it was different enough. It was different enough. And once I realized that it could feel that way, that it could really feel so fulfilling to just say, you know what, here I am, and it's imperfect, but here I am. Here I am in all fullness. Then I started to drop all this preoccupation with perfection, because not only did it feel completely embodied and honest, it felt just real in a way that was interesting to me. And it was interesting to those that I shared it with. A lot more interesting than the perfection that I was going for, the idealized sense of perfection that I was kind of obsessed with. And I still have to kind of work on that because, again, we're adults. We have really high expectations, and we manage our life based off of those really high expectations. But if you're coming back into voice, just, sit down with your voice and just tell your voice, show me. Like, show me. What do you got going on? Where are you at? What do you want to say? And you listen, like fully listen without going, that's not so good. Try not to judge, just listen. And it'll show you kind of who you are. And I think that's why we do this. I think we want to know, who are we deep, deep in our soul? Who are we? What are we made of? And that's not just a scratch surface thing. That's a kind of go way down into this scary, scary, scary. You might not be as good as you thought you were, or you might not sound like your favorite singer, or you might have nothing to say. That was a big fear that I had as a songwriter. It was a really big fear that I had as a songwriter. You are boring. You got nothing to say. But the more time that I spent with myself, the more I realized, oh my gosh, I'm full of ideas, full of ideas. So I hope that was really helpful for you. How do we know which goal should be first? That's a really great question, Linda. There's no order to it. There's no order to it. Whatever you can manage. Or maybe even better said, what is your criteria for satisfaction? If it is to sound like said singer, modify that just a little bit. That's specific, but it's also way up here. It's very layered, way up here. So my criteria for satisfaction is these two things. One, that the pitch is accurate, because pitch gives me nightmares. It literally does. And two, that it feels like talking. It feels as accessible to me as talking. That way I know pitch is correct. It feels really easy for me to do in my body. That way it just feels like talking. So the benefit that I get as the singer is that I don't have to worry when I'm singing. I can be more about who I'm talking to, that I'm giving a story, rather than, am I doing this right? How was that pitch? How was that tone quality? What was that phrasing like? Now, when I'm practicing, I like to break those things down, but not from a academic place. It's like, it's more from a curiosity. What if I did this there? Or what if I played with that in that way? So it's more of just a creative curiosity. So whatever should be first is your criteria for your satisfaction. So that when you do it, like for me, pitch, if I hit, and I know it's also not realistic, guys, to hit pitch 100% of the time. That's not realistic. Not at all. If you can hit it 75% of the time, you're doing really great. You're doing really, really great. So if you're going line by line and you're managing your pitch and you're going, yeah, that feels really good. I got the pitches correct on that. And if you don't know, use a pitch listening app. My favorite one is called Pano Tuner. I'll show it to you. Yeah, this is what it looks like. Here, okay, I'm over here. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So if I play the pitch, it kind of lets me know where I am in relationship to that pitch. Totally free, Pano Tuner, and it's a lot like a game. So if it's like a game, I'm gonna want to do it more. So I hope that's been helpful for you, Linda. That was a really, really great question. I'll take one more question. Oh, Bambi. I struggle to accept praise from self or others. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I think before I knew how to praise the small things within myself, I would receive a compliment and I would be very suspicious about it, like and it would make me very uncomfortable. But just having that one-on-one time with myself allowed me to generate that praise from the inside, and it was extremely authentic. It's like, well, I had to kind of earn my own self-respect in a lot of ways. But I started very, very small, and if I could just manage that one small thing, then it's like, oh yeah, good job, good. Sometimes if I'm hitting a note and I'm doing it over and over and over again, I will literally be like, yeah, yeah, and I get so excited because it was just that one note. That was the only criteria. Aim, and aim again, and aim again. Then something kind of magical happened. Once I did that is I realized that I stopped needing praise from other people. Like, this is such a little therapy session, but my mom wasn't always encouraging. Matter of fact, she was like, oh, I see you're trying to do something. And no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, my mom's a human. She's going through her own thing. She's coming to her own sense of self-acceptance. And I honestly think that had my mother not been exactly the way she was, I wouldn't be so bloody, like, persistent. Oh, the hell you say? If she said I can't sing, I'd be like, oh, the hell you say? And I'd push back, because it's like I could feel that I was defending something very important to me. So I just took all that energy and focused it in a direction. But when I could praise the small things, I kind of stopped needing it from other people. And I think that purified the gift of the sharing of the singing anyways. It's like there was no need kind of strangling the life out of the song I was singing. Like, if I needed attention from other people, I needed their acceptance, I just wanted their acceptance, I didn't need that anymore. So I could just give it like wholeheartedly, just share it. Like, I really wanted this to uplift other people, but I no longer needed that praise from other people. And I know this is so many cliche topics today, but as soon as I no longer needed it, I started getting it. But that need wasn't there. And I appreciate so wholeheartedly the process, which is why we're even having these conversations. So I've just talked your head off. I'm so sorry about that, but I'm glad you're here with me. I just want, for the adult learners, this is, your voice is a gift you're choosing to give yourself. You are right where you need to be. You are right as you need to be. And as you explore yourself, man, the joy. I just hope it is like a cup that just runneth over for you. So I just want to say, I enjoy doing these kind of talks because I don't ever want people to give up, especially if their heart's in it. But I also know the burden of this kind of work. It's really, really hard to dig deep and be okay confronting all those fears. Or maybe the fear that I'm behind and I can never catch up. No, you're exactly where you need to be. Your life has given you gifts. It's given you things like persistence and preference that you can build upon. But if you want to learn more about your voice, visit me on Skillshare. We have about 6 hours worth of voice lessons on there now. We're going to be adding 2 more over the course of the next couple of weeks. So 2 more voice lessons, which will be 1 module. So 1 more module of voice lessons over the next couple of weeks. We get into it. The whole essence is about exploring your voice. My desire is to demystify the confusing aspects of voice so that it's accessible for you. I want you to be able to feel your own voice. So there you have it, guys. If you've liked today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up or click that subscribe button below. Hit the bell. We're going to be doing these lives pretty often. I'd love to have you be a part of it. I love that you're here with me today. I hope this has been clarifying for you. I love you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.